Before we begin, I'd like to say thank you for indulging us starting a little late. I'll take responsibility for that. We were having a discussion in executive session, and I felt that it was in the best interest of the community that we complete that discussion. Also, thank you for not starting without me. I'm going to go ahead and end the workshop. We took no action in executive session, and we have nothing to report. With the same gavel, I'm now going to open up the Kerrville City Council meeting for September 10th, 2024. We're going to start with invocation and pledge of allegiance led by Councilmember Brenda Hughes.
Heavenly Father, we give thanks for the many blessings you give to our community and are grateful to have received the precious rain this month. Thank you to our many heroes, both past and present, who we recognize this week with the many flags displayed in their honor. We thank you for the gift of those who protect our families, our city, our state, and our nation. We ask that you help us all to remember and appreciate their sacrifices. Father, we are thankful for our citizens and the valuable input we receive from them daily. And Father, we are humbled by our dedicated staff at every level who consistently tackle the challenges of municipal government. Please help them understand the significant value we place on their commitment to our city and everyone who lives, works, and plays here. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we'll go to announcements of community interest.
Thank you, Mayor. We've got two quick announcements tonight before we get on to quite a few recognitions in here, so we look forward to that. The final Concerts by the River of 2024 is coming up not this Saturday, but next Saturday, September 21st. That starts at 7 p.m. at Louise Hayes Park, and we've got Jesse Wren, who's a local singer-songwriter, and Woody Russell. Soft rock is what I understood, but I encourage everybody to come out. Hopefully we'll have some weather like we had this past weekend, which was really nice. And then this next event is actually after our next meeting, but we might as well go ahead and start getting people ready for it. This is the Kerrville Triathlon, 13th annual one, September 28th and 29th, various sites around the city. It's a great event, started out here in 2011. We do have a couple of days of heavy traffic, a couple of days of road detours, and we always want to get people aware of that ahead of time because there will be some slowdowns, but it's a great event, brings a lot of recognition to Kerrville. So we ask everybody to be patient and bear with us and be kind to all the triathletes. And we look forward to that. And with that, I'll turn it over. Do y'all have any announcements?
Thank you. Do you have any community announcements?
I do. Our good friends at Jersey Mike's, beginning tomorrow and through the 15th of this month, if you take this card into their restaurant and you order a sandwich and you give $3 to Kerrville Pets Alive, you get your sandwich for free. And those sandwiches are anywhere from $9 to $14. So the fundraiser is for Kerrville Pets Alive. Jersey Mike's is not benefiting at all from this other than for advertisement. And if you would like one of these cards, I will have them up here. You can grab one as you leave, or you can get one out in front with Miss Coy if you'd like one. Thank you.
Of course. Ken?
I do. Councilmember Hughes touched on in your invocation that there is a remarkable event going on the second year. It's the Field of Honor, and there's 500 flags that are lit 24 hours a day. And if you have the opportunity to just be totally beside yourself and humbled, go reflect. We all know somebody in some way, shape, or form that was affected by 9/11, and it's, we're 23 years from when it happened, which is my caveat into the next one. tomorrow at 5 o'clock at Schreiner University. We have a good friend of mine, General Mike Oates, is here this evening to talk about what he's put together with Hill Country veterans. But at 5 o'clock, we're going to have a ceremony at Schreiner University. There's going to be an invocation. Some speakers are going to speak. And then we're going to walk 1.7 miles around campus and reflect back on anybody that you may or may not have not known. But once again, everybody in here should know somebody or something. I wear his bracelet. Jacob Light, former United States Marine Corps. You get choked up with it. AMVETS is named after him because he was the 1,000th casualty of OEF-IEF, and he's from Kerrville, Texas. So he will be memorialized tomorrow as well. So please come out, join us, celebrate, and remember. And Mike, thank you so much for your leadership in putting that together for the city.
Elaine? Right, we're going to move into presentations. The first one, I'm going to ask Mr. Harris to help me. We're going to first start with a proclamation regarding the September Walk to Honor and Remember. And, would you mind joining me down front? Thank you for coming.
Sorry I didn't have an army tie.
I'm going to read a proclamation about the event tomorrow and the remembrance tomorrow. And if you'd like to say a few words, I'd encourage you to do so. All right. This is a proclamation of the city of Kerrville. Whereas on September 11th, 2001, one of the darkest days in American history, the United States of America was attacked by Al-Qaeda terrorists in New York City, Washington, D.C., and in the skies over Shanksville, Ohio, killing nearly 3,000 men, women, and children. And whereas, responding to those attacks, America's law enforcement officers, firefighters, first responders, and other emergency personnel showed true heroism, and we remain forever grateful for their selfless courage in defense of our freedoms. And whereas, in the years after 9/11, United States servicemen and women deployed to Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, and the Horn of Africa to engage in combat with Al-Qaeda, the Islamic State, and others responsible for 9/11 and other terrorist attacks. And whereas, over 2 decades, thousands of citizens from the Texas Hill Country have answered the call to fight in the global war on terror, with 3 Kerr County veterans, Jacob C. Light, Lawrence D. Ezell, and Cody J. Orr, being among those killed. And whereas, by a joint resolution, Public Law 10789, approved on December 18, 2001, the United States Congress designated September 11th of each year as Patriot Day. Now, therefore, I, Joe Herring Jr., Mayor of Kerrville, do hereby proclaim September 11th, 2024 as Patriot Day, and encourage all citizens to join me in remembering those who lost their lives. Thank you. And I appreciate any kind words you have.
Appreciate that. Mr. Mayor, thanks very much, and Councilman Harris, thank you. Council, appreciate the recognition for the victims of 9/11 and the veterans who fought for us for the past 20 years after 9/11. Judge Kelly, thanks for what you did yesterday, recognizing with the Kerr County. I think as an entire county and city, this is something we can do every year to remember. Our country was attacked on 9/11. Tremendous first responders rushed into buildings and died. And then we sent our servicemen overseas for 20 years to play an away game to keep terrorists from not attacking us here again. So I encourage you to come out tomorrow. Along the walk, you'll see pictures of young men and women who were killed. I'll put their faces on these posters. Representative sample of every year, to include the 3 from Kerrville, Kerr County, who were lost in combat. So appreciate very much your participation tomorrow. It'll be a very light event, but an opportunity to remember those who've given their lives for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We're going to get some pictures.
Okay.
And then we have another presentation. Let me just add, thank you for all you've done, too. Thank you for your service.
My honor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. The next item is a Curb Kindness Award, and I want you to make the presentation.
Oh, you didn't tell me I had to read it. That was your job, I thought.
Now, let's go get these people up here if they're here.
So Jenna and Chase Alsop, Jenna Sanchez and Chase Alsop are our Kerr County Veteran Service Officers. Little history on the two. Thanks to Judge Kelly, we have these two remarkable individuals that help veterans. They help us with our claims. They help get us seen at the VA hospital. They help get us rated for disabilities. But the biggest thing they do, and I left my cheat sheet on my desk. I was going to bring your numbers. The biggest thing they do, and Gary Noller is the president of the Veteran Service Advisory Council that I'm honored to sit on as well. But Gary's the president, so he has numbers. But last month alone, y'all brought in over $250,000 in non-taxable income just to Kerr County in 1 month, or last quarter, I'm sorry.
August was 500,000.
So August was $500,000 that she brought in, and Chase brought in for our veterans. That's non-taxable. So what does that do? It comes right back in, and that money is spent here by your veterans that live in the community, in our community. So thank y'all for what y'all do. Thanks for helping me get off I'm stuck on the high horse and don't want to get service connected because I had the mentality that I'm intact. And when I went and got evaluated, they looked at me and said, Maureen, you were messed up. So I didn't know they covered mental, but you know, that's another thing. So they asked for Kerrville Kindness Award nominations, as they do every meeting, and we nominated y'all for what y'all do. So,
Thank you.
with that, the city of Kerrville recognizes Jenna Sanchez. What service were you in, Jenna?
Air Force.
Okay.
Aim high.
And I will say, Jenna's wearing her suicide prevention shirt tonight. She asked me if I thought that was appropriate since it is Suicide Prevention Month. I said, absolutely it is. General Oates is the chairman of the board for Together with Hill Country Veterans, which is a veteran suicide prevention and awareness program that we have here. So, fits hand in hand. So, and Chase Alsop, I will say, because I don't even have to ask you, Chase was a military police officer in the United States Marine Corps, sergeant, type 1 each. With September the 10th, 2024 Kerrville Kindness Award, the Kerr County Veteran Service Officers, Jenna Sanchez and Chase Alsop, have worked tirelessly to better the lives of veterans living in Kerr County. The two have been responsible for raising more than $274,000 for area veterans and surviving spouses, and they most recently organized a great event that was Thursday, the Veterans Benefit Fair, recruiting, this says 60, but you had 72 vendors? 76 vendors, including the Texas Veteran Land Board and the Texas Land Commissioner, to provide information on organizations and resources available for our area veterans. The Kerrville Kindness Program offers a sincere thank you to Jen and Chase for their willingness to help citizens in need. And this has been signed by the mayor and all of council.
Thank you.
And then after the picture, if you wouldn't mind shaking the hand of the council members behind us, because they
Yes,
want to say
sir.
thank you too.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, shake a hand. Thanks again for all you've done.
I'm glad.
Yeah, thank you.
We have something else to celebrate this week, or coming up week, and that is Constitution Week. So everyone with this proclamation, please come on up front. Just line up here. And what I'd like to do, if it's okay, is I'm going to read the proclamation. I'd like to go down the line and have you introduce yourselves and your role in the organization. and then we'll get a picture, and then shake some hands behind us. Good? Perfect. Okay, here we go. You know, they don't give me this beforehand, so this is always flying by you. And they also try to make it difficult to pronounce, so I'm great. This is a proclamation of the City of Kerrville, whereas the United States Constitution was signed by 39 men with 55 delegates in attendance at the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia's Independence Hall on September 17, 1787, securing this nation's commitment to freedom and democracy. And whereas the United States Constitution has guided us through more than 2 centuries of growth and change, and still serves as a model for democratic governments around the globe. And whereas the 237th anniversary of the signing of the Constitution provides a historic opportunity for the citizens of Kerrville, Texas, to pay tribute to our founding fathers and to reflect on the rights, privileges, and responsibilities of citizenship. And whereas today the United States still stands as a beacon of democracy and tolerance, inviting the world's nations to pursue justice, provide freedom, and protect liberty for their people. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Kerrville City Council hereby proclaims September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week and encourages citizens of Kerrville, Texas to work together to foster a greater understanding and appreciation of the Constitution and the rights and duties of citizens. Thank you. And I've signed the document.
Thank you.
All right, let's get a picture quick, and then we'll introduce everybody, okay? Because I'm starting to wilt. All right, please introduce yourself.
Thank you.
And tell us your role
Absolutely.
in this organization.
My name is Dawn Collum, and I am the regent of the Major James Kerr chapter here at Kerrville.
Thank you.
And I'm Suzanne Fott, and I'm first vice regent of Major James Kerr.
My name is Vicki Kelly. I'm the corresponding secretary.
And I'm Gina Ireland. I've been a member since 2013, and I am retired from being an officer right now.
My name's Catherine Dalton, and I am the third vice regent for the Major James Kerr chapter.
Let's give them an applause.
Now I really know what the judge is doing here.
Before you disperse, we need to have one more photo.
Suzanne, thank you.
We just trade in.
How are you?
For all you do. We need one more photo before you go back to your seats. I'm sorry. I didn't smile at that.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, let's line up once again and we'll get another picture.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank y'all.
They're trying to crop me out. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody smile.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
again.
you.
Thanks again.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You guys thought y'all had something to do tonight. All right, National Recovery Month. Who all's going to be here for this participant? Please come up. Everybody's here for the National Recovery Month. Please come up and stand beside me. Again, what I'll do is I'll read the proclamation. We'll get some pictures, and then please introduce yourself. And you can come up too if you want.
Okay.
He says it. Okay, we're good. Okay, can I sit with you? All right, this is a proclamation of the City of Kerrville. Whereas through Recovery Month, we work to promote and support evidence-based treatment and recovery practices, the emergence of a strong and proud recovery community, and the dedication of service providers and citizens across our community who make recovery in all its forms possible. And whereas the prevention of mental and substance abuse disorders works, treatment is effective, and people can and do recover in our area and around the nation. And whereas we must encourage relatives and friends of people with mental and substance use disorders to implement preventive measures, recognize the signs of the problem, and guide those in need to appropriate treatment and recovery support services. And whereas the National Recovery Month theme, every person, every family, every community, reminds people in recovery and those who support them that no one is alone in this journey through recovery. Everyone's journey is different, but we are all in this together. Recovery Month will continue to educate others about substance use disorders and co-occurring disorders, the effectiveness of treatment and recovery services, and that recovery is possible. All of us, from celebrities and sports figures to our coworkers, neighbors, friends, and family members, throughout our lives have experienced peaks and valleys, both big and small, but with strength, support, and hope from the people we love, we are resilient. And whereas Kerrville Recovery Community Coalition invites all residents of Kerrville, Texas, to participate in National Recovery Month. Now therefore, I, Joe Herring Jr., Mayor of the City of Kerrville, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2024 as Recovery Month in Kerrville, Texas, and call upon the people of Kerrville to observe this month with appropriate programs, activities, and ceremonies to support recovery. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Because there's just not enough pictures of me tonight.
Oh, yeah.
All right, please introduce yourself, and then we'll go on. Please.
So we are part of the Kerrville Recovery Community Coalition. I am the chair. My name is Deanna Allen, and I'm going to pass it on to you.
Thanks, Deanna. I'm Alan Peterson. I'm secretary for the KRCC.
My name is Dale Trees. I'm a person in long-term recovery. I was part of the founding members from 2017 of the coalition. I'm also a licensed counselor with La Hacienda Treatment Center. I'm a peer recovery support specialist, and I work with the adult probation office here, as well as a specialty court with Judge Patillo across the street. And yeah.
And I'm Phil Taylor. I'm with the Hill Country Council on Alcohol and Drug Abuse, and I'm also a member of the Recovery Coalition.
Thank you for all you do. Yeah, Councilman. It's great to see you.
So you know us, friends.
Thank you.
Yes, I do. He's in my office this afternoon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Did y'all give all of y'all's Mark Jones? That was, well, no, he was, that was amazing what y'all were doing. Yes. Thank you, sir. Sorry I didn't enjoy the program.
Good to see you like twice in 2 months.
Yes.
I like it.
If members of my family are watching tonight, they haven't seen me smile this long for this. Going for a record. Now I would like to have a commendation of recognition for JAM Broadcasting. Please come on down.
I found a chin.
It's a good one. I like that.
Thank you, sir.
I'm glad y'all are here. Let me read this real quick. All right, this is a certificate of recognition hereby presented to JAM Broadcasting. I'm glad y'all are here tonight. Faces with the voices. Hereby presented to JAM Broadcasting for its outstanding service to the city of Kerrville. JAM Broadcasting has been more than generous in its many contributions to the city of Kerrville, including conducting weekly live radio interviews with the city manager and members of the Parks and Recreation Department and Kerrville Police Department to keep the community informed, donating monthly radio ads with city messages directed specifically to the Latino population of Kerrville, volunteering support at city events such as the Holiday Lighted Parade, Kerrville 4th on the River, Kerrville River Fest, and Family Fright Night, providing emergency broadcast capabilities during special events like the solar eclipse last April. The Kerrville City Council is proud to present JAM Broadcasting with this certificate of recognition. Thank you for all of you.
Thank you, sir. All right.
And then we'll go down the line and introduce yourselves.
Okay.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And y'all just got a recognition outside of Kerrville, didn't you?
We did.
What was that?
We received the Texas Association of Broadcasters Award for Station of the Year for our community service in the communities that we
Isn't
serve.
that great? Tell us a little bit about it.
Justin McClure, I'm one of the owners of JAM Broadcasting.
Mark Keller, Sports Director.
Toby Appleton, Sales and Marketing Director and host of the Highway 16 Drive with Toby Lee.
Leslie McClure, married to this guy, head of HR.
Right.
Michelle Layton, News Director.
Cody Nichols, Program Director for Rev FM and host of Cody and the Gang.
Good.
Ryan Pendergraft, co-host of Ryan and Kim on Mike FM in the morning and Riding with Ryan on Mike FM in the afternoon.
I certainly recognize a lot of the voices. All right, please, shake hands with the people behind you.
All right, thank you guys.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you guys. All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
I didn't recognize her. She's old. That's
That's
what I told Toby. I said, I don't recognize her.
I found a chin in our old. Thank you. Thank you, guys. We appreciate y'all.
Toby, good to see you.
Thank you. Yes.
Thanks for the good work.
Good to see you again. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Toby.
Good work.
I think you should run the meeting down there.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
My daughter and I took a trip out to the Field of Honor, and if for anybody that hasn't been, I suggest that you go out there. We read every card on every flag that hangs out in that field, and really, you got today and tomorrow to go and take a look, and I'd encourage everybody to go do that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Got it.
For a moment, I lost the agenda and I didn't know what to do, but I did find it.
I bet we can get you.
We can help you with that.
All right, do we have any visitors? Ken?
Yes, sir. Rodney Bacon.
Mr. Bacon.
Hi there, how are y'all? Mayor and City Council, thank you for serving and for an opportunity to speak. I recently took the survey related to the 2050 plan, and it seems there are many more wants suggested than needs. And I came to ask that you keep some things in mind. What are the city's responsibilities? And I think they come under four main categories. We have police and fire protection, streets, and utilities. I think we need to be really mindful of our wants. I think the city does not need to get into quality of life issues. These are endless, and not all of us have the same quality of life wants. For me, my quality of life is going to be to keep my taxes as low as possible so I can remain in my home a little longer. I don't use the river trail, for instance. I don't play golf. But have we spent money on the river trail, which should have been spent on our public safety complex starting back years ago? Are we spending money on the Shriner Shellhace home that ought to be used to pave West Main Street? If you haven't been up West Main Street, borrow somebody else's car and go drive down it. It's rough. These wants cost money, and which might have been used to fill a need. If we refocus our responsibilities, we'll save a lot of money, and it'll reduce your time and effort as public servants. Which brings me to our debt, and this is not only a Kerrville issue, but a national one, and there seems to be no hope in sight. But with two bankers on the council, I'm asking that we use their expertise to find solutions to our mounting debt. I suggest we stop borrowing and start attacking our present debt. The Bible says that the borrower becomes a servant to the lender. And that can't sound good to anybody. I'd also caution you against writing ordinances. Every good idea doesn't need a new ordinance, in my opinion. The new ordinance for the Callow Theater, the distance before you can campaign outside a polling booth like that. I've been voting here a long, long time. I voted at the Callow, I voted at the Ag Barn, I voted in my precinct. I've never had a problem getting to a voting booth. Never. But apparently somebody did. And so now we've got a whole new set of ordinances, and those ordinances cost money. How are you going to enforce it? How are you going to monitor it? Just a guess, you know. We're about to have a night sky ordinance. Are we going to turn off the street lights? Is it just going to be dark outside everywhere? I kind of like seeing the deer go by, the foxes, the possums, you know. I mean, what do the police think about turning off all the lights? Did the burglars local union write this ordinance for us? I think we're getting into stuff that it's easy to come up with a great idea, but then what are the repercussions to that idea? And I think I just caution you before somebody else comes up with a new tree ordinance. How the heck are we going to consistently apply that rule about saving trees? I don't want them cut down either, but that's something the city needs to get into. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the end of the citizen
That's
speakers.
it? Okay. We're moving on to the consent agenda. All items are considered routine and can be approved in one motion unless a council member or staff or member of public asks a separate consideration of an item. Does anyone want to remove an item from the consent agenda? All right, do we have a motion for the consent agenda?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to accept the consent agendas items 4A through 4G.
Is there a second?
Second.
Many seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, so vote. So vote. And it's unanimous. All right, thank you. We're now at item 5A, public hearing and ordinances, first reading. Ms. McElhenney.
Ordinance number 2024-23, an ordinance levying an ad valorem property tax for the use and support of the municipal government for the city of Kerrville, Texas for fiscal year 2025, portioning each levy for specific purposes, providing other taxes shall become due, and when same shall become delinquent if not paid. There are no citizen speakers signed up. However, this is a public hearing.
All right, Ms. Barron.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council. You'll be happy to know we're not going to go through the entire budget again. I think we've circled that through several workshops and through our last presentation, so hopefully we've answered questions to you and then also to people who've called in and asked those questions. But happy to follow up on anything that you might need to know tonight. So we'll start with the property tax rate ordinance. So ordinance 2024-23, proposing to adopt the property tax rate for fiscal year 2025. So as you know, our total proposed property tax rate is the same as fiscal year 2024 at 5,595. While our maintenance and operations rate went up just a little bit, then the offset was to our debt. So that's how we kept it the same. Total revenue for both the maintenance and operations and the debt fund went up about 6.7%. New value that was added to the roll, about $37 million. So that creates its own revenue of $206,000, which is not included in the property tax rate calculation. So you can see total increased revenue from existing properties, about $843,000. And then the taxable value of our existing properties was about 3.77%. Which is down substantially in value increases that we've seen over the years. And I did kind of just a rough calculation, and keep in mind these are estimates, and without knowing the value of each property, can't really say what taxes will do for each property, but I just wanted to kind of highlight, on average, if using that 3.77% with that assumption that that's what the value increased, what the dollar amount increase would be to each of those properties at various levels. So looking at $100,000 all the way to $500,000. So just to kind of show what the increase would be at this proposed rate. So keep in mind that Texas tax code requires very, very specific language when we write an ordinance for a tax rate. And then it also requires very specific language within the motion. Some of it doesn't really jive with what the budget actually reflects as far as revenue percent increases and those kind of things. So this is comparing the no new revenue M&O rate to the actual proposed M&O rate. So it's really tricky, but I can assure you that we've spot checked in each other's math and the way the law reads, and then Mike has helped us prepare the motion. This does require a roll call vote, so happy to answer any questions that you might have related to the tax rate at this time.
Any questions for Ms. Behrens? All right, this is a public hearing. I'm going to open that up first, and then we'll have discussion, and then we'll have a motion. Okay? All right, so the public hearing opens at 6:42. Anyone wishing to speak? Please go ahead.
George Brody, 1616 Glen Rose. She just said it didn't jive, the the thing, so if you could explain that, that's all.
So, sure. So the way the law reads, when you're deciding what the rate increase is, even though the rate is exactly the same and doesn't appear to increase, what they're looking at, the calculation basically says, what is your proposed M&O rate, and what is the actual no new revenue M&O rate? And the difference between the two is the increase in what the tax rate is, regardless of whether the tax rate is exactly the same or not. That's the way the law reads. That's the way the calculation has to be done. So when we present it to you from a budgetary standpoint, we're telling you our revenue is going to increase 6.7%. But the rate actually, even though it looks exactly the same, the way the state law reads, we have to show it as an increase because it's an increase over the calculated no new revenue M&O rate.
Fair enough.
Just real quick.
Please do.
So just to clarify, that's kind of what I thought you were going to say. But basically, the words that you read up there are doing the right thing. They're focusing us on the revenue dollars, which is what your budget really represents. So the increase is actually telling us the increase in cost of government, correct? Increase in the revenue coming in for property tax, the dollars. That's what that increase is about.
That's what the budget is. So
Right.
the budget is actually dollars, yes.
Right.
And
So
this
it's not
is the
talking
rate.
about the rate. It's really
Correct.
talking about the dollars.
So that's why, right, so this ordinance is specifically to the rate, and then the next ordinance is specifically to the budget. I just want to clarify that because it does get confusing, but the law is very specific on how we have to calculate this.
And the reason why the rate is important as well as the budget, very simplistically, the no new revenue rate is the no new revenue rate, which generates the same amount of revenue, less new value. So the reason why it's not one for one is we had one of our highest new value added to the tax rolls last year to the tune of about $46 million, which again is a significant portion or a good portion of that. So it's the reason why the tax rate is the same, and to the speaker's point, yes, it has gone up in dollar amount, but that now includes the new value from last year added onto the current value of this year.
Correct, which is used to calculate that.
Which
new
is
revenue
used to
rate.
then calculate that, and then that doesn't factor in also the new value that was added this year.
Right.
Clear as mud, I know.
Yes.
Thank you, state.
Anyone else wish to speak during the public hearing? Not seeing one, I close the public hearing at 6:45. Council, you would like to discuss this ordinance? Anyone?
I would.
Please do.
So I'd like to point out that even though the dollar taxes that people pay are up, it's up less than inflation generally. And it's going to be difficult to run this city or any business or anything else we do by trying to run our business on dollars that were 2019 or 2020. We got, first of all, cost of everything goes up. The grocery store, everywhere, employees have to have more money. We have to have more money so inflation is a very insidious, evil problem, and it's not caused by the city, it's caused in Washington. And so we have to be careful that we're not keeping up with inflation at all with our taxable income on the properties that are in the city. So we have I think we have a mandate from the just a recent election in May. There was a strong emphasis on the 2050 plan and the things we want to do. It includes growing and prospering and making this a valuable place to live, and it is a valuable place to live, and we all know that it costs a lot to live here, and but it's worth it. And we want to keep it that way, and we want the streets to be paved. And if we don't want to borrow money to buy a fire truck, we need to be. I think the budget, expense-wise, is that the city's done a terrific job keeping the expenses in line. But we should be setting more aside for rainy day issues. And we've also really kind of had a history of not in the city of not really taking care of all the maintenance issues, and then we end up having to borrow a bunch of money for roof, air conditioning, or whatever at the theater, or the golf course gotten run down. We got to borrow a bunch of money for that. So we need to really be thinking ahead a little bit more and really the maximum we can go to is only half of 1 cent per $100. It's not much, but it gets compounded because if we don't raise our base this year, then we can't raise it again next year, and for that base is going to impact us forever and ever. And so we need to, at some point, as long as inflation has been like it's been, we've had up to 8-9% inflation, but the state law only allows 3.5% growth in the tax rate, and you can't cover all the inflationary things with that. So anyway, we've got a great city. We got a lot of good benefits, and people want to live here. People, business owners and property owners, they want their properties to be valuable and to be more valuable. Cutting tax rates and cutting income, and just drives down the value for everybody, and that's not. I don't think that when we had our landslide wins in the election, I don't think that's what the voters were voting for. So I think we want to do the 2050 plan, and we were limited how much we can raise, and it's not enough to cover inflation. So I think we need. I'd like to for there to be some more discussion about having a little bit more. Just that half a cent would be at least a beginning drop in the bucket.
Any other discussion?
I would just like to comment on that and just say that I hear what you're saying. And I've thought a lot about it since you said it 2 weeks ago. But I also know that most pocketbooks and households in this town are paying for the inflation Washington has brought to us, or that we have everywhere. And so I think this year the timing is just not, it doesn't make me feel comfortable saying we're going to raise the tax rate. But I think I would like to start talking about doing the voter approval rate next year. Start planning for that, and let's see what would this money pay for, this extra money. What do we need? What is it? Just raise it. And so we've talked about that, having some plans as far as what's our priorities. What are the projects out there that would need this funding that we're not able to do right now, or that's coming? So I'm really, agreeable to talking about that for next year, but not this year.
The discussion? All right, if not, I need a motion as outlined by state law.
I'll make the motion to approve ordinance number 2024-23, that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of tax rate of 0.5595, which is effectively a 2.77% increase in the tax rate.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, motion and second. Any discussion? Oh, I'm sorry. This is a roll call, so Ms. McElhannon will call the roll.
Councilmember Sigerman?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris? Yes. Mayor Herring? Yes. Councilmember McKinney?
No.
Councilmember Hughes?
Thank you. Now moving on to item 5B, ordinance 2024. Ms. McElhaney.
Ordinance number 2024-24. An ordinance adopting the annual budget for the City of Kerrville, Texas fiscal year 2025, providing appropriations for each city department and fund, containing a cumulative clause and containing a savings and severability clause. We do have one citizen speaker signed up. However, this is a public hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Behrens.
Okay. Quickly, just look at the citywide budget proposed here. So revenues, about $108 million. That includes transfers. Remember that transfers from one fund to another are expenses of one fund and revenue of another. So that's important for budgeting when we have to keep things in balance, but not actually cash moving. So that's why we show the net of transfers there of actual revenue, about $94 million, almost 95. And then on the expense side, $142 million, and net of those transfers, $129 million. You'll see that revenues are less than expenses, and so the main reason there is because we do have some large capital project expenditures. So capital projects are multi-year in nature, so revenues are received 1 year and expenses happen in the next. It's very common. for that to be that situation when you have a lot of capital projects like we do right now. So general fund and the water fund are both balanced. That is by city policy. And then you can see the proposed capital project revenues and expenses, and you can see there the revenues being substantially less than expenditures just because of when we receive that funding. And then the other funds that are not required to be structurally balanced are there at the bottom, and those include some special funds and funds that you can see in more detail, of course, in the budget book. So again, this does require two motions and two separate votes, the first of which does require a roll call, and the second of which does not. I'm happy to answer any questions related to the budget or anything else you might have questions about tonight.
Any questions for Ms. Behrens? All right, I'm going to open up the public hearing to include the person who signed up to speak. Public hearing opens up at 6:53. Who is signed up to speak to us?
Peggy McKay.
Ms. McKay.
Peggy McKay, Kerrville. First of all, Councilman McKinney, I want to thank you for bringing up the fact that we are racing to catch up, and the can seems to have been kicked down the road so many times. Now we're behind. Any major event's going to put us in dire straits if we can't cover all the maintenance. So I thank you very much. It's very refreshing, and I want to thank Julie for helping me with understanding some of the different items that I asked about. But I do appreciate that. But when you have in the general fund, the maintenance is 11% of the funds, and that's only $2 million. We are never going to catch up, and we've got to find a way to do that. And later on in the agenda, there's an item for another expansion of the river trail, which is a quality of life. And I'm not against the river trail or the quality of life projects, but when we have serious water issues and serious maintenance issues, I would like them to be addressed before we do the quality of life items. We have a river trail, it's well used, and there's no rush to do that, but there may be a major rush to do something about water and maintenance. Very much appreciate your comments. There was a motion, or not a motion, but discussion about raising the reuse water rates, which don't begin to cover the cost. I understand that's being worked on, and I really encourage that, which will help the water fund. And again, I'm back to the street use fee. I would like to see a dedicated line item for the money that goes into the street use fee. I think this year it's $685,000, which is a big charge against water. I would like to see the work orders put into that dedicated fund and draw down on that 685 and see if we are doing that much through the water department to use up that 685,000. A side note on the economy and the inflation where you can't keep up. In a 10-month period ending in July, St. Vincent de Paul paid $21,000 toward 272 water bills. And in a 4-day period, distributed food to 600 families. So that inflation is hitting these people hard, and these water increases are really hurting these people. It's very difficult. They come in with all kinds of stories about what will they pay. And when you compound since 18, 19, 20, and 22, when you compound all those increases and then add a base rate increase this year, people are really hurting. And also on the stormwater fee, a household has $1 fee, they pay a sewer rate. The irrigation pays a $2 fee. But there are some households that have 2 meters, so they pay more than the others combined because they're paying sewer twice in addition to the irrigation in addition to the household. And I wish we might look at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. Anyone else wish to speak? Seeing none, close the public hearing at 6:58. This ordinance requires 2 motions. Both are prescribed by state law. Can I have the first motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 2024-24 to adopt the city's budget for fiscal year 2025 on first reading.
Second.
There's a motion, a second. Any further discussion? No? All right. Ms. McMahon.
Councilmember
Mayor, I believe-
Sigerman?
Sorry.
Mike, does this one require a roll call?
Yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Sorry.
Yes.
Mayor Herring? Councilmember McKinney?
Yes.
Councilmember Hughes?
Yes.
There's a second motion required to adopt this ordinance, and I need a motion as prescribed by state law.
Well, I might as well make another motion. I motion ratifying vote to adopt the budget that will require raising more revenue from property taxes than the previous fiscal year.
Is there a second?
Second.
This one does not require a roll call vote. Any discussion? All in favor, so vote. And it passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Ms. Behrens, please tell your crew thank you for their hard work.
Yes, and thank you for your support. It's
Of course.
been a good summer.
Thank you.
Well done, it really was.
I understand we have a small announcement to make. Is this correct?
19 years, yes, sir.
It's Ashley and Patrick Boyle's 19th anniversary tonight. Congratulations. All right, item 5C.
Ordinance number 2024-21, an ordinance amending Chapter 60 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Kerrville, Texas, by changing the zoning of an approximate 5.51 acre property known as 2029 Junction Highway, State Highway 27, from a planned development zoning district PDD to a general commercial zoning district C3, and providing other matters relating to the subject. There are no citizen speakers signed up. However, this is a public hearing.
Thank you. Mr. Paxton.
Thank you. This is an ordinance to change the zoning from Planned Development District PD 99-12 to C3 on approximately 5.51 acres, more commonly known as 2029 Junction Highway. The surrounding properties are also zoned C3. They back up to the residential on Arcadia Loop. It's R2. It is part of the Strategic Catalyst Area Number 4, and the request is consistent with that description of that area. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval with a unanimous vote on August 1st. I'd be pleased to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Paxton? Before the motion, we'll open the public hearing at 7:01. Anyone wish to speak? Not seeing anyone rushing up to the microphone, I close the public hearing at 7:01. Is there a motion on this ordinance?
I'll move to approve ordinance number 2024-21 on first reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, so vote, and it's unanimous. All right, we're now in the resolution, 6A. This is a complicated one, so we're going to turn to Mr. Hayes. 6A.
Oh, you don't have to.
Last time you told us we did not have to read in resolutions. This time, do we need to read in resolutions?
No, I just, maybe I'm confused. I just thought you usually read
I
items.
remain there.
Okay, well, this is a complicated issue, and there's math involved, and so I'm glad that we get notice of it in the spring, and it takes until August or September even that we have to consider it. It is an annual agenda item, not saying that Atmos has to propose a rate increase, but frankly, I can't remember when they haven't on an annual basis. If adopted, this will approve a rate settlement with Atmos Energy, which is Atmos Gas, which is the local gas provider for the area. The agenda bill provides history and the current status of the process that cities use, the City of Kerrville has used to review these rate increases. When they propose a rate increase, the Atmos Cities Steering Committee, which we are a part of, we pay to be a part of that consortium of cities. They hire consultants, including financial consultants, and they review the rate increases. And over, excuse me, the next few months, they crunch those numbers, meet with Atmos, and they generally get the number down a little bit. The recitals, I think, in the resolution do a good job of outlining the process and the action involved. And they certainly, Atmos, back up a little bit, that when they propose a rate increase, they have to provide everyone with notice of that rate increase and give us, again, time to kind of crunch the numbers, which is what we've done. We've used, since 2007, Atmos and this ACSC group has used an informal process that's outside of state law. But I think if you asked Atmos, and you certainly ask the cities whether that process works, I think we would all agree it does. We think it's less expensive process, and it doesn't involve the state law, and we think it's a good process. This year, they put forward that they believe their cost of service in 2023 entitled it to a system-wide revenues increase of $182.5 million. And after applying the process and analyzing the information presented by Atmos, the parties negotiated a settlement whereby Atmos would receive an increase of $149.6 million. So there was a decrease. These new rates will be effective October 1st, so in just a few weeks. The steering committee, which is ACSC, its legal counsel and consultants recommend that we adopt the resolution that's presented before you. Here's the impact. The impact on an average residential rate, it will be $552 increase per month, which is a 6.84% increase. Increase for average commercial usage is $13.39 per month, which is a 3.34% increase. This is all spelled out, I believe, in the agenda bill. There's some recitals in the resolution, and then adopting the resolution will approve this rate increase for the City of Kerrville. So that's what's before you. I recommend approval, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Hayes? I want to just make sure I can understand. We are part of a group that helps us negotiate the best possible rate. And even if we say, we don't want this resolution, we're still going to have an increase, and possibly even greater increase, because we're not following the group recommendation. So there's little to do but adopt this resolution. Is that so?
I am asked that question periodically.
You're asked tonight.
Well, that's good. We could go it alone, and some cities do. Dallas, I believe, obviously a much bigger city than we are, goes it alone. Sometimes they're successful, sometimes they're not so successful. So I don't want to lead you to believe that we're basically stuck with this resolution. We're not. But if we don't agree to the terms here, then we would be going alone. We would presumably be hiring our own consultants, crunching the numbers on our own, maybe getting to a better place, maybe not.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Hayes? Hearing none, is there a motion on this resolution?
I'll move to approve resolution number 37-2024.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, so vote. Unanimous. Thank you. Item 6B. Thank you for spending your anniversary with us.
My pleasure.
Ms. Boyle.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. There we go. As always, we'd like to start by highlighting Kerrville 2050 support and the Parks and Recreation Master Plan support. As a reminder for the benefit of the audience, this is a timeline associated with the project. Please note that this is only the funding approval timeline, not the whole entire project history. The RFP was issued on July 23rd and was due on August 27th. 4 proposals were received. On August 29th, the selection committee consisting of city staff and our golf consultant evaluated the proposals. And tonight we're presenting the rankings and requesting authorization to negotiate a contract. The scope of work includes renovations to the greens, tee boxes, and sand bunkers. We also had some add-alts for the netting, the bridges, and some stonework. This was the selection criteria in the RFP. It consisted of submitting the required forms, experience, references, timeline, price, workload, and availability. 4 proposals were received, and this is the rankings of the teams as recommended by the selection committee, with XGD Systems as the highest ranking proposer. So next step, so tonight we're asking you to authorize us to negotiate the contract. Late December or early January, we will issue the notice to proceed to the contractor. January through July 2025 will be construction, and the course is anticipated to open in late July, early August of 2025. So our recommendation tonight is to authorize us to negotiate and execute a contract with the highest ranked proposer. If those negotiations fail, we will move on to the next highest ranked proposal. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Ms. Boyle?
By highest ranked, does that include lowest bid?
So that includes...
Does it?
It does. It includes everything on the selection criteria, so price, their availability to meet the timeline, their references, their history, their qualifications also we weigh.
It's not just price.
Yeah. So we want somebody that's experienced as well,
Boyle.
not cutting their teeth on this project.
They weren't necessarily the lowest bidder, but the combined score is what made them the highest ranked,
Correct.
right?
Sir,
yes.
if you speak, we really need you to speak at the microphone, but we have to record these.
Let me introduce, since he's speaking,
Okay.
Councilmember Hughes. This is Mitch Harrell. He is with Troon Golf. He came in to help get the proposals.
Okay.
So,
Mayor and Council, thank you. I'm sorry, I was just trying to help out, but yes, the XGD group was also the lowest bidder, but they also met all the criteria. And for a little background, obviously, also we have worked with them at other projects in the past. They've done a good job. They've gotten things done on time and on budget, so it was an easy. And we had a committee of people that did this scorecard, and we all believed that this was the best one.
Okay.
I was sorry to interrupt you, but we're required to record this.
No, I'm sorry, Mayor.
Okay, thank you,
Any
Ashley.
other questions for Ms. Boyle? Any other questions?
Going to close again?
So it'll close
January.
in either end of December, early January.
It'll be closed during winter and...
Yes, ma'am.
And spring and part of summer.
So was bid price within the budget we anticipated?
Yes.
Great.
Any other questions?
A win for Kent.
Be nice, play nice. Any other question for Ms. Boyle? Hearing none, is there a motion then to proceed as requested?
I will make the motion to authorize the city manager to negotiate and finalize the agreement for this project for the Scott
Second.
Shrine.
What was that, sir?
Second.
I'm teasing you as well.
He didn't say cricket, he said second.
All right. The motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, so vote. And it's unanimous. Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks.
All right, item 6C, project funding agreement between City of Kerrville and the EIC about a river trail. Mr. Hornes. 6C.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We discussed at the last meeting just a discussion topic about canceling the current agreement between the EIC and the City Council for the first segment of the downtown river trail. So this is a 2-segment phase that would go all the way from,
Arcadia?
sorry, I got my lawyer. in
Point
my
A
ear
to
talking.
point B?
Point A to point B.
Arcadia?
Depends on where you.
From the library all the way down to G Street. Thank you very much. So right now, this current phase just goes down from the library to the pavilion, right? So as we've discussed over the months, we haven't been able to obtain all the easements towards that, right? We are still hopeful for that, but it's been a challenge, and we're not going to meet the timelines that are currently in place in the contract for construction completion, which was supposed to be done by December of this year. And I know Mr. Hewitt is very good and whoever our contractors are, but none of them are going to get finished by that time frame. So in order to pivot, we would like to focus on acquiring and obtaining the easements down through G Street to G Street. So that way we can come back to any of the property owners that might have reservations and suggest that, you know, this is really, it's expanded, it's a great project. And if we have all those easements, we can apply through the Texas Department of Transportation for their Transportation Alternatives Program and see if we can't leverage some of those state dollars and thereby reducing the EDC's cost share in that. So the recommendation from staff tonight is to cancel the current contract and start moving forward with obtaining those easements.
Any questions for Mr. Hornis? Go ahead, please.
Mr. Hornis, you presented at EIC, and I apologize, but for the benefit of the rest of the council, can you tell us and the public what the TxDOT
The Transportation Alternatives Grant is?
Yes, sir.
So TxDOT likes to keep, safe routes to school is a good example, right? So cities will apply, and that will create sidewalks in areas where they don't have those, within kind of a mile area around a school. And it's a great project, usually funded either 80-20, 90-10, depends. But one of the issues that we have is how do you get from the library down to G Street? If you had to walk on that street, everybody who's been around here long enough knows there's some sections in there where it's a little dicey, right? So there's a few areas in town where we could apply for that over the years, and we do. Right now we have Transportation Alternatives Grant with Cully around the hospital, that area there. This one would provide a great alternate route to get from G Street to the library to downtown, getting away from Water Street right there. And so that's the whole purpose of it, is just a safety issue from TxDOT. Yeah. And they have looked at this project prior to, told us preliminarily that it looks like a great project. Do you have all your entitlements? And we said no. They said, well, don't keep going forward until you do.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for Mr. Hornis? Discussion? If not, entertain a motion.
I don't think there is a motion, is there? Should we just give
Just
them
provide
direction?
direction? Oh, so we're not actually making a motion to cancel the current?
Yeah, you are. Yeah,
Please
I
do,
think that's
yes.
the recommendation.
The
The
recommendation.
recommendation is to cancel the current project.
Contract. Yes, sir.
By motion, not consensus,
Not by
correct?
consensus.
Someone like to
Well, I
venture that
move that
motion?
we cancel the current
I'll
contract.
second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, so vote, and it's unanimous. All right, we have made it to 7A, appointments to the Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Number 1. Board of Directors. The interview team was myself and Ms. Councilmember Seigerman. You can make a
I'd like to
recommendation?
make a motion that we had, I think we have 3 openings and 3 applicants.
Yes.
And we will need a chair, but that comes later. So I would like to make a motion that we appoint Judy Eichner to one of those openings, and Andrew Gay at one of those openings, and Crystal Smith as the 3rd opening.
I'll second that.
As part of discussion, you may recall that we appointed Ms. Smith to a previous board, and she applied to several, and she would prefer to serve on this, so hopefully she's resigned from that other board so she can serve on this board.
I think she met with Keisha.
I will have to check and see, yes.
I advised her to come in, and she did. She wrote me and told me that she did. I don't know exactly what they said, but I assumed it was that. I did speak with her about.
One at a time. Right?
Yes.
All right, so a motion's been made. I'll second that motion to appoint Eichner, Gay, and Smith. Any discussion? All those in favor, so vote. And it's unanimous. All right, we have no need to go into executive session. So are there any items for future agendas? You know, this is not a record-setting time, but we got a lot done.
Considering.
I'm hearing no items for future agendas. This city council meeting is now adjourned.